What's up, YouTube? You know what time it is. It's MightyFan time. And this is really not as much a Jersey blog, or vlog, I should say, but really more of a rant vlog. And it deals with the news that came today. And by the way, happy 4th of July to all my viewers. Today is, of course, July 4th, 2016. And looks like it might be a rainy one, but nonetheless, it is 4th of July, so happy 4th of July. But today the news came down that, and it wasn't too surprising, I guess, really in the grand scheme of things, but the news came down that Kevin Durant, I'm trying to find the best way to position this, that Kevin Durant goes to the Golden State Warriors. And I say it wasn't too surprising because there were stories that, there was some conspiring going on between he and the Warrior players after the Warriors came back and beat the Thunder in the Western Finals, overcoming a 3-1 deficit. And then, rumors were flying around at the end of the season that, he might go to the Warriors. And again, it's not too surprising because that's how the NBA has been going in recent years, where there's these kind of super teams created. LeBron doing it when he went to Miami, then again in Cleveland, and even the Spurs last year go get Aldridge, to go with the players they already had there, and now Durant does it. And of course it's gone on before that too. The Celtics did it years ago. I mean, the Lakers have done things like this. There's been many different cases of this. But it's really becoming an all too common phenomena in the NBA, and it's really taking away from the game. And I say that my main issue with this is that I don't live in the Bay Area, I don't live in Cleveland, and I don't live in San Antonio. I live in Philadelphia. I'm a Sixers fan. And you talk about two opposite ends of the spectrum. You had the Warriors, who won 73 games in the regular season last year, setting a new NBA record. You had a Warriors team who won a championship the year before, who got back to the finals last year, were a win away from winning it again. Talk about a team that doesn't need Kevin Durant. Right? Because if they would have stayed as is, if they wouldn't have done anything, besides maybe a few maintenance things here and there, if they lose a player, gain someone. But if they didn't make a big move like that and stayed as is, they're probably the favorite to come out of the West. They're probably one of the favorites to win the championship again next season. And my problem with the direction the NBA has gone in recent years is the competitive balance and the lack thereof. Right now in the NBA, you have about 3 teams. And I'm being truthful here, 3 teams in a league of, 30, 32, whatever it is. You have 3 teams that for the next 3 or 4 years are going to have a chance to win the championship. And all the other teams in the league and all the other fan bases in the league, more importantly, don't have a shot. So basically what the NBA is telling us is that Golden State, Cleveland, and the Spurs, and even the Spurs, they're long in the tooth. The years when Duncan and Parker and Ginobili retire, what are they going to be like? Maybe Popovich, retires. What are they going to be like at that point? Now, again, they could retool. I know Westbrook's a free agent after this season. Maybe they get him. I mean, the direction things are going, players are either going to go on the Warriors, the Spurs, or the Cavs, right? So basically, so the bottom line here is you have 3 teams. And if you're not a fan of these 3 teams, if you don't live in the Bay Area, in Cleveland, and San Antonio, you don't have a shot. And this is going to be going on for the next 3 to 4 seasons, maybe even longer, depending on when some of these other young players, come along, start, getting good, getting to those type of levels. They may never get to those type of levels. And again, I speak as a Sixers fan. I'm going to be 38 in August. Once in my life have the Sixers been fun to watch, and that's when Iverson was here. Okay, they had a little blip on the radar when they, some years ago when they came, they made the playoffs. They got out of the first round, 8-1 because, Rose got hurt and Noah got hurt in that series against the Bulls, and they go 7 games against the Celtics in the second round. And, they gave us something that year, but that was it. Since Iverson, that was it. And, again, the Sixers are trying to do things in the parameters that the league is giving them. They're tanking. And they have tanked the last 3 seasons. And it's given them high draft picks, and with those draft picks, the first time around, I believe that was the year when they drafted Joel Embiid and Sarge in the first round. We haven't seen either of them. One due to the injury, the other because he's playing overseas in Turkey. Now, both are supposed to be here this season, finally. We're going to finally see these guys. We're going to finally see if they can play in the NBA. I hope they can, but I don't know. As Stephen A. Smith would say, but I don't know. I think they can, but I don't know. They draft Ben Simmons with the number 1 overall pick this season. We'll see what he can do in the NBA. I hope he's a player. I hope he becomes a star in the NBA. But I don't know. They drafted Okafor last draft with the number 2 pick, number 2 overall. And he's basically a one-dimensional player. I mean, he's a down-low scorer. He can't rebound. He doesn't play defense. Now, that's early in his career. He can change, but I don't know. And the point that I'm trying to get across here is that I'm a fan of a team that won 10 games last year. And the last 3 seasons have tanked. Each season to try to get a high pick. And they're doing that because that's what you have to do in the NBA. I find it very interesting the NBA was upset with them last year because this is what they were doing. Well, I'm sorry, NBA. I think it's a problem that you have a team that has to do that to get good. I think that's a big problem. And this has been going on for a number of years, not just with the Sixers, but with other teams too. And I understand to win, you have to draft well. You have to hit on your drafts. It's the same in the NFL, in hockey, in baseball. You have to draft well. If you don't draft well, you're not going to have a shot. And I get that. But why is it that the NBA sees it fit to only have a few teams in their league every year that's going to be good, and the rest of the teams is like, well, we hope to be good someday. Or we're kind of there, but we're not quite there, like the Raptors, like the Hawks, name a few other teams, right? There's a few teams out there that could be there, but, I mean, come on. Are they really going to beat the Cavs in a series? Are they really going to beat the Warriors, the Spurs, when the Spurs are clicking on all cylinders? The answer to that is no. So now you have, and it could only be 2 teams. I mean, if the Spurs, look, again, hey, long in the tooth, right? Who knows how much longer these guys are going to be playing at that high level. Tim Duncan might retire this offseason. And then soon after that, it could be Ginobili, it could be Parker. The Spurs might not be the Spurs as we know them for much longer. How long could they keep it up, right? So basically, for the next 3 to 4 seasons, you better get ready to have Warriors-Cavaliers NBA Finals. And that's all well and good for the Bay Area fans and for the Cleveland fans, but that ain't all well and good for the rest of us. And you have a lot of fan bases who have been long-suffering, who have been waiting for their team to get good, and are in a league now where you have a handful of teams that are going to be good every year, and the rest of us are just going to have to say, well, we hope they draft well. Well, we hope maybe someday they get a player to want to come here. That's not right. To me, that is not a good league. And I know that that's just how things go. And in the I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed because the NBA was my first love in sports. It was that's what got me into sports. And yes, Michael Jordan was a big reason of that, and those Bulls teams and what they were doing, obviously. That's what got me into sports. And back then, the NBA, to me, was great. Now, I might sound like one of these people, old heads out there's like, well, back in the day. But I remember it. There were star players on just about every team. You didn't have a lot of these, like, super teams being created. Now, some, over time, players went to one team or another, like Rodman went to the Bulls or what have you. But at the same time, it wasn't like, it was a common, phenomena. It happened once in a while. It wasn't all the time. And there were more rivalries back then. It was just a better product. And then we kind of fell into this almost like a black hole. And now there are good players on other teams. And you know, the other side to the coin of this that I do want to talk about, an outsider looking in, one of the things that I really respected about the Warriors is how they built their team. As a Sixers fan, I saw how the Warriors did it. I saw how the Spurs did it, and that gave me hope. That said, hey, if these teams could, you know, go from where they were, which weren't very good, maybe not as sustaining, not as good as the Sixers were doing, you know, for years. But certainly, you know, they went from the bottom, they drafted well, and they moved up. They got the right coaching staff in place, they got the right players, there they go, right? They didn't just have to grab players from other teams to get successful. And the Warriors kind of followed that what the Sixers are trying to do. You know, and the Warriors were lucky. They were able to get Steph Curry. They were able to get, you know, Thompson and Draymond Green late. You know, these weren't like top 2, 3 picks, you know, unlike the Sixers have had in recent years. But they hit. And then they got the other free agents, you know, they weren't the superstars, but just the right players that fit that team. And they built that team that way, and that's how they became very successful. Now they go from that, and a team that won 73 games in the regular season, a team that was a win away from win, and probably should have won the championship last year. Let's be honest. They should have won it last season. I mean, they didn't, and you give Cleveland all the credit, but the Warriors, you know, should have won that championship. But they just didn't. They fell a game shy. To a team that now feels like, okay, well, we're not good enough. Now we have to get Kevin Durant. I just don't get it. And I understand it's the players. I understand it's them saying, hey, come play with us. We'll help you win a ring. You know, this and that. I get that. I know that that's what players do. Players have done that for many years. I totally understand that. I can't hate on them for doing it because that's what they do. But I'm disappointed. You know, last year there was, you know, I mean, the Warriors on NBA Network, it was like, you might as well have just called it the Warriors Network. Because that's all it was Golden State Warriors specials, all about the Warriors, and obviously they were having a run for the ages, right? The record. They were going after the most wins in the regular season. One of the specials that they had was how they put the team together, and what it was like in the war room, if you were, on draft night, and how they were able to draft Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You know, they saw these guys, they saw the talent there where other teams might not have, and how they put that team together. I thought it was very interesting, and they called it the Warriors way, and this is how they do it. You know, and other teams were like, you know, Miami was building the super team and this and that and the other thing. Well, this is how they were doing it, and I really respected the heck out of that. You know, as a Sixers fan, this is what my team is trying to do. And so I said, oh, you know, that gives me more hope. Well, now we go from the Warriors way. I guess after you blow a 3-1 series lead in the finals, you forget about the Warriors way, right? I guess that just goes out the window. Oh, now let's just get another All-Star on the team to go with the others we already have. And again, I get it. That's the way things are anymore. But that's, to me, as again, and I want to say this again, as a fan that's outside of that circle, as a fan that's of a team that hasn't had success in a number of years. The last time it was fun to watch the Sixers was when Iverson was here, and his number is now hanging in the rafters, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer this year. That's how long ago it was. That's how long ago it was. As an outsider looking in, I just think that the NBA right now, and again, I'm not hating on the fan bases of those teams. I'm not hating on those teams, but as an overall product, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And I'm someone who loved the NBA. I was like the last of the holdouts in my workplace. I was the one still holding the banner, right, for the NBA. Everyone's like, who cares? You know, you don't even watch it. You know, and I'm like, no, there's still good players. You know, Steph Curry's fun to watch. You know, you got all, you know, different storylines and stuff. And I always had this thing, like, the Sixers are going to win in 2020. They're going to be the 2020 NBA champions. I still might hold on to that, but as far as I'm concerned, what happened today with Durant going to the Warriors, you know, they lost me. I'm sorry, and again, I don't want to sound like a hater. I really am not trying to sound like a hater, but I'm someone who loved the NBA, absolutely loved it, and now it's a 3-team league, And that to me is just not, it's not a league. I mean, you might as well just take NBA out of it and just put, what's it now, Golden State, so just call it GS, C for Cleveland, and SA for San Antonio. So GSCSA. That's what it is. There's no NBA anymore. There's no competitive balance. If you don't live in those markets, you're not going to have a team that's going to have a chance to win a championship for at least another 3-4 years. And that to me makes a bad product. Now we might have the Warriors and Cavaliers be this great rivalry, like the Lakers and Sixers, or Lakers and Celtics, Lakers Sixers, Celtics Sixers, stuff like that. More so the Lakers and Celtics because it's East West. We might have that again, and that's fine. I think rivalries are awesome. I love the rivalries that are in hockey. I love the rivalries that are in football, baseball, even though there really isn't one around here much anymore. But I love that. That's what makes sports great. The fans get to have that back and forth banner. It's awesome. It's what makes it great. But at the same time, if you're going to tell me, so basically barring any injury, barring any incredible upset in the playoffs, we're going to have the Warriors versus the Cavs the next 3 to 4 years. Okay, I've seen that the last 2 years. It's nice, it's fun. It was an awesome Game 7 this year. The rest of the series sucked, but it was an awesome Game 7. Hey, I'm all right. Yeah, but for the next 3 or 4 years, I'm sorry, I'm a Sixers fan. I don't care if it's the Warriors and Cavs for the next 3-4 years. Wake me up when it matters here again. And again, I don't want to sound like this big Northeast bias, but to make the NBA great again, you need Philly. You need New York. You need Boston. You need LA. You need Chicago. You need these places for it to matter. And again, I don't want to sound like that guy, but it's true. You need these franchises and these fans that care about your product again for it to truly matter again. And more importantly than that, you need the competitive balance again. You need other teams to be good. It can't just be the Warriors and the Cavs every year. I mean, what is that? That's not even a league. It's 2 teams. Why even have a playoffs? Just have a season, okay, and then you just put the Cavs, the Warriors, the Spurs, and then you sprinkle in another, how many teams, 6 teams or 5 teams or whatever, 7 teams. Don't even go East-West. Just throw them all in the same playoffs, Because no one in the East is going to beat the Cavs, at least for the next 3-4 years. So you might as well just do away with the East-West playoffs. Just have them all in a big, just like a collegiate tournament almost. It's sad to say that, and I hate to say this, but it's just not a good product. It just isn't. And I will put, until it gets to a more competitive balance, I will put the NHL over it. I will put MLB over it. I will certainly put NFL over it. Because there is competitive balance in those 3 leagues. It's not just 2-3 teams that are good, and then it's whoever, okay, the rest of you just don't have a shot. Because in those leagues, at least when you're down, you can get back real quick. You can build those teams up right back. But you can't do that so much in the NBA. And part of it is because all these players conspired, okay, let's just join here and there and make these super teams. And that's all well and good for those areas, but for the rest of us, it's like, yeah, okay, have fun. We're not. And I say this because I'm one of the people that goes back with the NBA. Maybe not as back as some other some other viewers might, but I go back to it, and I remember when it was at a peak, at a level where it was great to watch. It was great theater, and there were great players all over the league that you wanted to see. And it just isn't. It's just not. It's so lacking now. And I know that hockey's never going to be huge, but I love the NHL. I love what they do. The Flyers, they have a chance the next 2-3 years to really build into something. They have a lot of young talent coming up. They're just seemingly doing it right. It doesn't mean they're definitely going to do it, but they, to me, they, they're watchable. They seem to be going in the right direction, and you don't have to tank in hockey to get good. I mean, you have to draft well, sure. You have to get the right free agents, sure. But you can build the team like that. You can't do that in the NBA. And that's the problem. Baseball the same way. I mean, look at the teams that were down, and now they're good. I mean, if you do it right, you can build the team quick. I saw the Phillies do it. I saw where they were to when they got great. Now they're, down, but they're building again. It's like the Eagles, like I do the Season of the Fan series. I'm happy that I get to do it with a team that's kind of building, to get out of the depths and to build back up again. But you can build quick in the NFL. You have to hit in the draft, you have to hit in free agency, you have to get the right coaching staff, but you can build. And yes, there's always the Patriots, and yes, there's always the Packers and the Steelers and the Broncos when Manning was there or whatever. But to me, it's still a better competitive balance than what we have in the NBA. And that, to me, is the biggest problem with the NBA. And again, no hate to the Warrior fans out there. No hate to the Spurs fans. No hate to the Cavs fans. Hey, you all have a great product to watch. Be thankful for that. And I know it wasn't that long ago, at least for the Warriors, when they weren't. And when LeBron wasn't with Cleveland, when they were in a similar situation as I'm seeing here with the Sixers. But be happy for what you have. Because there's much more fan bases out there that don't. And we're the ones that have to suffer. We're the ones that have to kind of go through seasons where it's like, okay, well, we're not going to have a chance to win, but hopefully they'll get better. Hopefully they can, build to something to get to a level where star players are going to want to come here. Hope Ben Simmons does become a superstar. Hope Joel Embiid becomes a superstar, and they can lure some of these other. Hey, if they have to play in that in those rules, maybe they become that. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they will, but I don't know. And it is frustrating. It is frustrating because I've always liked the NBA. But now I'm looking at, and I saw it heading in this direction some years ago, and now it's completely there. And I'm not happy about that. And not even just as a Sixers fan, but as an NBA fan. I'm not happy with this. This is not a good product. And I hate to say that. It hurts me to say that. But it just isn't. And I wish it was. I can't defend it anymore. I can't. I put all the other leagues in front of it now. All of them. Hockey, baseball, football, all of them. Maybe even gets to a point to put soccer ahead of it. That would be tough for me to do. But maybe I'll have to put MLS in front of it at some point. At least that's the American soccer league. I know there's many, many, many over in Europe and other places, but it's disappointing. It's disappointing on many levels. First and foremost, because I want the Sixers to be good again. I've only seen them good once. And that was awesome. I mean, watching Allen Iverson play was a joy. It was awesome. And we talk about practice. But that's... I saw it at that level, and we haven't had it since. And I'm hoping to God that Embiid and Sarge and Simmons and Okafor and Noah, that these guys can bring that back. We don't have a point guard. We might need one of those. The Sixers don't have a point guard right now. It's a little scary. But I'm hoping. But that's all I have is hope. But my mind says I know what's happening the next 3 or 4 years. Get used to watching Curry, LeBron, NBA Finals 3 or 4 years in a row. Nice for those areas, not so nice for the rest of us. I mean, if they go Game 7s every year, okay. But not good for the rest of us. It just isn't. And the NBA has kind of really gotten to that level. And they should never have let it get to that level. I don't know about hard caps, whatever. They just should not have let it get to this point. It's like, it's like there was a monster being built, and they could have stopped it, but they chose not to, and now it's completely there. And if they think it's a good product, God bless them. But it just isn't. It's not a good product. There are some good teams, but overall the product, just not good. And it's getting worse. The more these players just go to certain teams, the worse it's going to get. I mean, let's say that after next season, Russell Westbrook decides to go to the Spurs or join forces with LeBron or something like that. Come on. Come on. I feel bad for the Thunder fans. I really do. I mean, they already lost James Harden years ago, and now they lose, Kevin Durant. And they still have Westbrook, but hey, you know what? I do. I feel for them. I was hoping that Durant would have stayed there. I really was. It's rare, very rare that we have a player stay on one team his whole career. It just doesn't happen very often. It's very rare. But I was hoping at least for one more contract, he would stay with the Thunder. That was what I was hoping. Or come to the Sixers. But that was never going to happen. So since that was never going to happen, I was hoping he would just stay with the Thunder. But then I kept hearing this Warriors thing. I'm like, oh no. Come on. They do not need Kevin Durant. Come on, just stay with the Thunder or go somewhere else. Help another team, build to something. Don't go to an already made team. That's ring chasing. I mean, and I get it. I absolutely get it. I mean, he probably has friends on there, and they're just getting him to go with them to play. I get it. It's like playing a game of pickup at a park. You pick your friends or whatever to play. I completely understand that. But it just takes away. It takes away, it takes away from what the Warriors are, and it takes away from the league, in my opinion. It just does. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's disappointing. I think that's the best word I could say. It's disappointing. I wish it was better. I really am hoping that the Sixers hit on their drafts and that the players that they draft, look, they're not going to win for a number of years, but at least get better and get to a level where maybe they're making the playoffs consistently to build to something. Now, they're not being LeBron. I mean, no one in the East is going to beat the Cavs for the next 2-3 seasons. I mean, I think we can all pretty much agree to that. Again, the lack of competitive balance. But I hope at least they do get to some sort of level where they're competitive, where they're in the hunt, where maybe they might not have a chance for the next 3 years, 4 years, whatever, but at least to that level where they get there, and then if the NBA allows it, unless they just keep falling in love with the Warriors and the Cavs and the Spurs every year, okay, we're just going to help them and the heck with the rest. I just don't understand it. I don't understand how the NBA just allowed this to get to this level. But money, that's the. It could be better though. I mean, think about if these other teams were good, the money they'd be making, right? If the markets here would be good, Philly, New York. I mean, I know Boston's gotten better, but just imagine the money they'd be making then. And again, I know it's East Coast bias, but it needs to matter here. It needs to matter here again. It just does. It just does. But doesn't seem like that's going to be happening anytime soon. So the Cavs fans out there, the Warrior fans, the Spurs fans, enjoy it. It's your league for the next 3 or 4 years. I mean, whatever. I'll just have to get my enjoyment out of hockey and baseball and football and hope the Sixers get better. I mean, I'll watch them. I do. But it's like, man, give me something. Allen Iverson isn't coming through those doors again anytime soon. Unless it's for like a function. All right, guys. Well, I just wanted to rant a little bit on that. I heard that news today. I just shook my head and I just said, I knew it was going to happen, but I just really, it sucks. It just does that. It's a league of like 3 teams. It sucks. It sucks, and I certainly share in the pain of all the other teams, fan bases out there that are in same predicament. That predicament. It's not fun. It just isn't, and thank God for Villanova last year, last this past March, because that's the best time I've had watching basketball in quite some time around here, since Iverson was doing his thing, and oh man. But anyhow, happy 4th, everyone. I just wanted to do this little rant vid. I hope you guys understood. And I guess I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is, whatever the topic of that one will be. All right, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you then. All right.